Yeah, Babylon is falling to rise no more. Babylon is falling to rise no more. Falling to rise no more. Falling to rise no more. I'm taking a look in the streets. It's really every day what I see. We constantly searching for peace. My people just wanna be free. We tired of the cell blocks and the bullshit. That lying nigga in the pulpit. Same shit, but a different day. I speak truth, they ain't come to play. You in the way, better move, nigga. That ball on the way gon' be cool, nigga. Say you gon' get that tool, nigga. Matter of fact, get you by two, nigga. You see the signs that's in front of you. Shots in the rough from up under you. Shit is gon' fall, yeah, I promise you. Make up your mind what you gonna do. You heard it? Now listen. Your life, my business. You are my brother. We need each other. This truth, I live it. I will defend it. You are my brother. You are my brother. Yeah. Babylon is falling to rise no more. Babylon is falling to rise no more. Falling to rise no more. Falling to rise no more. Hey, my brother. Get your hands up, it's a war now. Take a good look at this world. It's time to go hard, don't be scared now. I know you're feeling the stress. Look on your face, yeah, and I need some help. But we made it happen with less. You and my blood, I feel what you felt. This trust in every corner. Every day I feel like a loner. Keeping the faith, that is my armor. This is a test, but nothing can harm you. Don't be scared of truth when you hear it. Don't compromise your spirits. Don't be trying to live like these white folks. Don't be trying to chill with these white folks. Brotherhood is a weapon, and that's the shit that I stand for. If you keep the law and live it, then you nigga I stand for. Got no time for that fake shit. That shit I can't stand, bro. Still believe in that flag. So what the hell do you stand for? Babylon is falling to rise no more. Babylon is falling to rise no more. Falling to rise no more. Falling to rise no more.
Hey, Shalom. Babylon is definitely falling to rise no more. So we're going to clap it up. We're going to clap it up. Hey, Shalom, Trooper. Yahweh Shemi Hawashai Barakatah.
Yahweh Shema Shabakatah.
And Yahweh Shemal Tam by Shemi Hawashai the sis. Okay, so we had a One West. We had an ISUP case started over at 1 West 125th Street under commanding General Yahana. If you're not an ISUPK, you are not in the truth. Now, I know we say that often, and people may not even understand what we mean, but this is what we mean. You're not in the truth. You're not being taught correctly. You don't have the government in place to support you. You don't have the corrective scriptures to correct you. That's what we say. You're not in the truth. You're just a rogue guy running out there, maybe an individualite or somebody who don't have Commanding General Yahana to answer to. So you're not in the truth. That's the best I could put it to you. So get an ISUPK and learn this truth. Be a part of what's happening now. Hey, Trooper, let me tell you, I try to do a short every day, and my short got muted. I think all I said was I said some stuff about the war going on and and about I guess the Agent Orange, and I said some stuff in my little short, like 90 seconds short. They muted it, So I'm gonna try to be a little cryptic in in my current events, as to not get my life cut. Just just Officer 50. The system is to get about to this take over everything. They got the computer that's monitoring all our words and censoring us, and we pray for the internet to be open. We don't know how much longer it's going to be open, so we want to push this truth. We want to jam this truth. We want to get this truth out there in the atmosphere and out there to as many ears that we can, to bring the brothers, bring the sisters, bring them out of the darkness. So, okay, before we get started, if there's any question, go ahead with your question. And we're going to be talking about watch out for the flying saucers. All right. And however, they won't come to take you to heaven or hell. So watch out for the flying saucers. We're going to get to that in a minute. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about some of the current event that's going on around the Bahamas and the world. Okay. So starting at home in the Bahamas. As I said on one of the other live, our silly season is not ramped up as yet, but it's getting there. When you hear as much silliness from the politicians as possible, doing all the silly things, or saying all the things what I guess they try to convince the people, but sometimes it's just words. So we're in that season. We're still ramping up to that. The second issue on the current events, again, to show people how we're still in our slavery, still oppressed. We got a 17-year-old starved to death, right, this morning in Grand Bahama Island, where I am. Of course, we have clubs, nightclubs, night spots. Why does our people have to go from one extreme to the next? To unalive, and more than likely, it's a Benjamite unalive and another Benjamite. That's basically what happens, vibing. And in here, in Grand Bahama, we really don't have gangs per se, as far as I know. It's just people. I mean, we had gangs in the past, so I'm not sure how prevalent they are right now. But the thing is, it's just people go to have a good time to a nightclub and get in a fight. Listen, we definitely, and we fight each other. We don't fight the oppressor. We fight each other. And believe it or not, I say this often, and I've said it in some circles, and everybody seems to agree with me. We have what we call the ghetto, like anybody else have a ghetto. We have a ghetto. I tell you, I kid you not, an oppressor could walk in our ghetto 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and nothing will happen to him. I'm telling you. But Brother Trooper, you walk in the ghetto 2 o'clock in the morning and they can ask you, so what you doing right here? What you want? Okay? that's what I guess it's. I don't know if it's like that all over the world, but I'm telling you, they'll be more suspicious of you than an oppressor. Oppressor could walk in his short pants 2 o'clock in the morning and they say, that's a crazy oppressor. And they can call him, they call him a white man. That's a crazy oppressor. So they wouldn't even be checking for him. They might be thinking he's some undercover CIA or something. They wouldn't even fool with him, right? But you, they probably snatch you up and rob you.
Oh, God. And Salaki, if I may.
You come with it.
Salaki, if I may. It's basically the same way here. It's the same way as far as like where I grew up in Los Angeles. If we see each other, all of a sudden we have all this type of conflict. We want to create where you from, where you going, why you here, what's your grandma's name, whatever, so be it. Yeah, when it comes to the oppressor, they just walk by, drive by, nobody says anything.
I'm just telling you, telling you, my brother, be the same everywhere we are. Be the same. God,
Okay.
we are definitely the same. Yeah. The oppressor could walk anywhere, but you walk there and they went to touch. Hey, bro, where you from? What you doing here? I'm have that chain off your neck. Let me free you up. That's how they carry on. Mm. Yeah, we got the next current event. We got the government, and then we have a quasi government. They're in a fight. They're trying to figure out who's really running one of these islands. And it's just a back and forth. The oppressor is in charge of one, the government is in charge, and they're fighting back and forth. And it's just a fight. You don't see the oppressor. Of course, they go to court and they make their case. And right now, the government is going back and forth to see who should be governing the people, the quasi government or the oppressor who formed a company some years ago and got a 99. Let me tell you a joke, trooper. We get this oppressor, they got a 99-year lease on one of our islands. But yet they turn around and they sell the land. They leasing it, but they turn around and sell it. I don't know how that makes sense, but it happens. I'm telling you, it happens. They lease it for 99 years. But if you want to purchase one, you could purchase it. But they don't even own it. They're only leasing it. But again, we yet in our slavery, my brother. We still right in there. So that's kind of the fight that's going on with that same entity and the government. Yeah, they're having a back and forth. And what else to say about what's going on around the world? This is the one I have to be very careful of because I think the computers are checking to see who's talking bad about who and cutting your live and muting your sound and all sorts of stuff and suspending you off of the social media because of what you say. But I've been listening to the news that's coming in. It's not going as we are hearing it's going in the public mainstream. It's not going as well as it's not going as well as they seem to be saying on this side here, how they seem to be succeeding. Apparently, it's not going that well. But again, you have to be careful even how you say that, who you call names. Agent Orange is doing all sorts of stuff. Any day that individual wake up, he could say anything different and do any stupidness to cause the whole world go into a spin. And that's what seems to be happening. But right now, the news, we try to get some I guess some news that hopefully may not be as biased and just search around, listen around and try to find out what's really going on. But one thing is for sure, Babylon is falling. Babylon definitely is falling. We don't know when it's gonna hit the ground, but we know one thing. It looks like it's falling now with all the things that's going on. So right now we gotta, as the scripture say, gather ourselves together. This is what we need to do. Gather ourselves together. Because in the time when you need someone, you're gonna need someone. You're not gonna, if things get as bad as they can, as bad as it may, but I say as bad as it can, because nobody's really predicted anything now. And we don't know how bad it is gonna get. We don't know how much preparation you need to make. And nobody really advises you to make too much preparation. Because let's just say, if you go and stock up your whole house with everything you could possibly need, the neighbors are that's gonna come and take all your stuff away later. you know, you wouldn't be allowed to keep it anyway once they know you have it. So we're not even recommending that you go overboard, but we are recommending that you do a couple of little things. Get a couple of little items. Don't just go into a situation where you're not sure about the outcome and no kind of preparation at all. Put some supplies aside. In the industry we used to do FIFO, first in, first out. So you buy whatever. Let's say you buy some canned beef or some canned fish or something like that, some sardines. You put them in As you put them in, the whole idea is whatever you put in first, you take them out first. So if you buy, I don't know, maybe you buy a couple of cans and you just be rotating the cans out, and so you'll have something extra. But again, don't just allow the things to creep up on you. Have extra water. Things you don't know what's gonna happen. Have some extra supplies around your house. So that's where we are. We're not sure how things are gonna turn out. I'm excited to just see. um, I said someone that just want to see the first. I don't even know if I could say the word. I just want to see the first big thing, just make the first big flash and vaporize the first set of people. I just want to see that one that one hit the ground somewhere, and then it's on. I don't know if I can say the name, but I just want to see when I hear the first one of them go off, I know it's on. It's like Captain Knight, I could say it's on and popping. So yeah, but people get ready. Babylon is falling, and you need to stay ahead of the truth. Find yourself into ISUPK. We're gonna try and help to keep you abreast of what's going on. We talk about the world news. We talk about what's happening in different countries, and even in your own country, we talk about it. Because right now, a lot of people are in different countries and don't even know what's going on around the world. And guess what? It is gonna affect you. You might believe it's not gonna affect you, but it is. You may be an ostrich which put your head down in the hole and figure nobody can see your tail out. But guess what? If your head in the hole, you're still exposed. So nothing is going to happen around the world that's not going to draw the whole world into it. Right now, they're telling us even in the Bahamas, get ready for higher gas prices. And we know that when the fuel price goes up, everything creeps up after that. Everything. Because everything seems to be tied to it. The fuel price goes up, just getting the package from point A to point B, it causes more because the truck have to pay more for fuel. And we import between 80 and 90% of all everything that we consume in the Bahamas. So you import that amount of things, fuel price is going to drastically affect your taking home price. So like I said before, get some kind of supplies. Get ready. As I was trying to encourage people, if you have the space to plant something. If you have a yard, make a small garden. If you live on a high rise, get a pot. Plant something that you could reap something in the future, however small it might be. It's be better than not having. And this is more for theoretical for purposes that you get back in the soil and relax yourself more than trying to get rich off it. Okay, that's not it at all. I'm not telling you to do that to get rich, or because you actually may end up spending more money. But the whole idea of being back in the soil is so therapeutic, and you're growing something, you get some good results. You see what you plant come up to fruition. You get a fruit, you get a vegetable. All these things happen, so it's going to give you a good feeling, and that's what I'm telling you that for. Okay, so if no questions, we're going to jump right into the topic. And we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit with flying saucers, and we're going to talk a little bit about the return of Yahushua. And we can talk a little bit about heaven and hell, because everybody now is expecting. They had me, and I guess most of the world is still convinced that if you be good here, you get to die and go to heaven. But you have to be good here and be good and create some good circumstances and conditions for others whilst they're here, so that you could go to heaven, but you could live not so good with hardly anything. You could see the poorest of poor people would be supporting what they consider to be a man of God. They would be in squalor. They'll they'll have a couple of suits of clothes that they wear. They just switch them up every Sunday, 4 or 5 pieces of clothes, and they'll wear that. And the man of God will be switching out suits twice a day when he gets ready, you know. And they believe that that's how it's supposed to be. They haven't realized yet where hell is and where heaven is. But I want to tell them in a little while where hell and heaven is found. But I want to also talk about when Yahweh Shai returns, how that return is going to be. Now, we're going to look at some scriptures. Two, if you go to Zechariah chapter 5 and verse 1, we'll read 1 through 4.
Okay.
Cancer. When you get it, just let me know. So as this time is drawing nigh, and this is probably one of the more difficult classes to accept, believing, because we've been indoctrinated for such a long time to believe certain things that just the mere fact that I say the word flying saucer, I could throw you off. But the truth is, they already teach you what flying saucers are. You've seen enough flying saucers in all the sci-fi movies to believe that the alien is going to come from out of the space, outer space, and it's going to land on Earth or come into the atmosphere. We've already seen enough movies and shows for that. The same way how before coming into the truth, nobody had to tell me what color Jesus Christ was. Nobody ever told me, because I was just of the opinion he was a stringy hair Caucasian. Because all of my life, every church I went in, nobody had to point and say that's who he was. We know that's who he was. So because of the indoctrination, it's like subliminal messages. I don't know if you ever heard about the subliminal message. You ever heard about that?
Lock your law.
Okay, let me give you a quick introduction. This is this story goes back, I guess, somewhere in the 50s or 60s. I was born in 1960, so maybe around when I was young or shortly after. They did a test. This is a subliminal message. They did a test in the theater. What they did, they put one frame. I don't know if you know how the old cameras used to work, but that's like the tapes used to see these frames. You might be too young, I don't know, but you just see these frames coming across the screen, like small pictures, and let's just say the people move so slow. Just take like this. One frame would be here, one would be there, one would be there, and you would see me move like that. Right?
Okay.
That's how the frames used to be. What they did with the frame, they put one in one frame. So in these movies, they have long tapes running the whole movie, and everything is just so slow. You could look at it frame by frame by frame. They put in one frame with a nice Coca-Cola with ice down the side and the sweating and the drink, and they put a hot dog next to it, nice with mayo and ketchup, and one frame. They did this test, and they said after that one frame passed, more than half of the people in the theater got up and walked out to the concession and bought a hot dog and a Coke. You know what that is? That's subliminal messaging. Your eyes didn't pick it up because it's only one frame, but your brain was able to see it. And so what happens is these subliminal messages happens to you sometime unbeknown. And you could imagine if it can happen subliminal, you could imagine if you watch a movie, you're going to be convinced. You're going to be brainwashed. If you watch the same things, you're going to see these things and they're going to be in your mind. And so now we've already been indoctrinated subliminally and through movies that when the flying saucer come, that's an alien coming to invade the earth. And the greatest military country in the world, I know you know what that is. They even have a space force. What do they do with us? What do you do with a space force? You deal with somebody who coming out of space. Okay, so we have these things, and this listen, this time is so exciting for me. I don't know. I know. I talk to a lot of so-called, I can tell you, so-called people who consider themselves Christians. They are not ready for not. They're not ready. They're not ready for the end to come. They're not ready. They're not ready to be judged. All they're saying is, no, no, no. The Lord ain't finished with me yet. I got much more work to do before I could go. When I tell a man, you need to be ready right now. If the time comes, you should be ready right now. And no, no, no. My time ain't coming yet. I got much more work to do before it's my time. But in this time, listen, there's just so much things happening around the world. Just turn on the TV. Just look at it. There's just so much. Isn't that bringing you to the point where you need to seek to make sure that your soul salvation, that what you've been learned, what people have been teaching you, what you've been understanding and gathering in your faculties over all these times, that is right? You need to fact check that. You need to fact check all of the information which you have in your brain when it comes to the hereafter. Because if you're wrong, if you are wrong, then your hereafter is going to be very disappointing. You know, they tell us, they already explained us what the hereafter is. The hereafter is you'll be a nice Christian here on earth, and when you die, you get to go to heaven. Right? That's what we were told. Number one, even the same people who are saying that, is not really teaching you how to be a Christian like when they were called Christians in the book of Acts in Antioch. They're not teaching you to be the way those people who were called Christian. The reason why they were called Christian because of how they acted and how they behaved, what they did. These people today who like to be called Christian are not doing the same things, or worshiping the same way, or observing the same things that those people back then who were called Christian is two different set of people. The people this day, now, and not doing what those ones back then did, who are being called Christian. And so now, when the time comes, and of course we can't put no time on it because the scriptures say no man know the time. No man know. Only the Most High know. Yahweh Shai don't even know. He'll be sent back at the right time. But it just feels so good. And my prayer is that even if I don't get to see it happen, I would like to see it start. I'd like to see the beginning. Yeah, I want to see something happen, man. My only regret is the truth been around from 1969. I was born in 1960. I just come into the truth. This now would be my fourth Passover the Lord allows me to be there. And my only regret and complaint was I said, where these niggas been all of my life? How come I swear.
Okay.
That's what I say. When I started to learn and understand the truth, my only regret was where these niggas been all of my life. I said I never run across any of them until just 4 years ago. But I guess everything is done in the right time. In the right time, everything is done. So this is where we are now. This is the time we're in. We're in the time where you might get to see that flying saucer. I don't know if you will, but we're going to talk about it tonight. You can talk about it tonight. Because if you see that, that's it. The game changes after that. Ain't nothing remains the same after that. And so, but this is not being taught in the churches. It's not being taught. I'm not sure what they actually saying right now, to tell you the truth. I'm not sure. But I know they're saying pray. that's it. I'm sure they're saying that. They ain't saying nothing but come back to the Lord and observe all the laws, the precepts, and the commandments, and stick with them and draw, and brothers get together. They're not saying, I'm sure they ain't saying that. I'm sure they ain't saying that. They having their same anniversaries and whatever they do in there on a given Sunday when they worship on the first day of the week. That's what they do. But so we're gonna talk a little bit about the chariots. You got that scripture? Just go ahead and read it for me, Trooper.
Son of a gun. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 5 and verse 1. Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll.
That's the whole for.
Oh, Salakia. Verse 2. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Verse 3. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For every one that stealeth shall be cut off, as on the side according to it, and every one that sweareth shall be cut off, as on the side according to it. Verse 4. I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name, and it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof.
Okay, thanks. That's the end of 4. So what we're focusing on here is the vision that then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and look, and behold, a flying roll. You know, I don't know if you I was watching one of the what they call it, one of the U.S. airmen. They were saying, they was talking about something they saw some time ago, and they was talking about they saw a flying roll. They was given the description. They call it a TikTok. They say it was like a flying TikTok, right? Now in UPK, this is what we believe. We believe that the government is mimicking all the things that happened in the scriptures, right? So the truth is, it could possibly be something that was made to resemble the same thing that is in the scripture. Of course, they talk about all sorts of things, how these objects move. I don't know if you've ever listened to any of those. They had Senate hearings and things where they talk about these things. But again, a lot of this is man trying to mimic things. The flying saucers, as we say, I don't think that we had any intergalactic travel as far as what ISUBK is teaching, right? But so we know that men are trying to do things and mimic things. So so what they see in the scripture, they're done this to mimic it, or to start some talk about it, because when the flying saucer actually returns, and when the sky is open up, that's going to be, everybody's going to already be brainwashed and indoctrinated to see everything a certain way when it happens. I think it was one of the clips where, was it President Reagan? One of the presidents, I should have get that clip too, where he said something, I think it was Reagan. He said he said something similar to that. If some being come from another planet, we'll stop fighting one another and fight them. There's some clip like that that's out there. But again, we think that this is all. If you think about this world that we're in, man has always tried to overtake the whole world and try to achieve dominance on the whole world and try to develop. When they started out, I guess they started out with rocks fighting one another, and then they moved to some sort of weapon, and everybody, and check this out, mostly the oppressor and their nations, the Edomites, those are the same people who would try to do most of the things around the world, develop all sorts of arms. And how much time we could destroy the earth? More than once. with the amount of nuclear things that we have on the earth, right? So we have people, it's always been that one entity always try to take control of the whole earth. You could see it from all the way in the Bible days. I think it was Nimrod. People try to conquer the whole earth, the Crusades, and people just try to conquer as much of the earth as they can, and nothing has changed. So when we see these things like chariots being developed by the different countries, this is probably what's happening. What we're seeing, these countries trying to stay on top of each other to be more dominant, to dominate, to avoid oppression or subjugation because they have a lot of armament. That's what they do. They say, well, you can't touch us because we're in nuclear power, and you are too, so we can be friends, right? But everybody else who's not a nuclear power, we're gonna subjugate them. We're gonna force them to do what we want them to do, and that's basically what we think is going on here. Go to Ezekiel chapter 1 and go to the 16th verse. We read 16 and 17. I think we just catch the gist of that.
Okay. Okay.
Go right ahead and you get it.
Comic-Con is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, and verse 17. When they went upon their four sides, and
Okay,
they
stop at 16. So
okay. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, and verse 16. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. Verse 17. When they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went.
this is another. Is this um another what I would say some kind of craft that is moving, and I think that's one of the I remember seeing in the early science fiction stuff where they would make a flying saucer, and they would like have the outer ring spinning. You know, it's not exactly how this is depicting it, but they have the outer ring spinning in the center would stay stationary, and so this again, this is talking about some sort of craft to move things, and we see that we see different countries start to experiment with different types of crafts. We've seen that. And a lot of them, they resemble some of the things we read in the scriptures. Definitely, we see that too. Go down to Isaiah chapter 66. We read 15 and 16 verse. Isaiah 66 and 15.
Okay. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, and verse 15. For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. Verse 16. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many.
But you notice I'm only actually dealing with the part of the verse would talk about this, the flying saucer. But these verses have a lot more in them. Okay, so I'm only touching on the flying saucer portion right now. So this one says clearly, for behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind. And even when we see in I think it's Matthew the 24th around the 30th verse, we see when Christ was taken up into a cloud, we also say that Christ was taking up that cloud was one that when he got into the cloud, he would have entered into a ship of some sort. Now, I know some of this stuff may be a little too straightforward and practical, you know. A lot of this is be too practical for people because they were over the years they've been fed something that caused them to have such a big build up, and such some of the things is just not the way the scripture lays it out to be. And if you look at it and read it for what it is, you could get a clearer understanding as it says, right? So in this case, it says that the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots. Okay, with his chariots. That's how his return is supposed to be. And so basically, this is just want to bring to your attention, this is another chariot that is spoken about in the Bible. I don't think we read the Ezekiel 1 and 22, but let me see. So Ezekiel 1 and 22.
Okay.
Yeah, just read that one from
Come. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 22. And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of the terrible crystal, stretched forth over their heads above.
Okay, so this spot is the one that goes within the wheel, in the middle of the wheel, and it talks about also the living creatures. So again, it talks about the firmament and like unto the firmament and likeness of the firmament unto the heads of the living creatures. Again, like I'm saying, I only want to touch on the chariots part of these verses for right now, because we may actually be in a time where the possibility, or watch the things around and don't be dismayed, because like Christ say, the end is not near. I mean, the end is near, but we don't know the time. And near it could be for Christ, that's the scripture say, a day is like 1,000 years. So for us, we may see it in our lifetime and we may not, but we are admonished to be ready. So as we look at the signs and the things that are going on, look at them. Look at the signs. Look at the chariots. Look at a lot of the man-made things. You will see. I think they finally came out and they was talking about Area 51 may have actually been a hoax. They talk about all sorts of stuff. Again, to deceive and to lead you astray. Because when the chariots does come back, they need you to be in a certain frame of mind to support them. And that's one of the things. But when the chariots come back, what happens? Do you go to heaven? Do you go to hell? I want to talk about that for a minute or two. What happens? What happens when I want to talk about the heaven and the hell part, but I also want to say that when the chariots come, when see if you could find, not to see if you could find, go to check in the Revelation when it says New Jerusalem come down from heaven. And let me know when you find it. Baba Kashal. So
you said when
the New Jerusalem comes down from heaven or from God. I think it when the New Jerusalem comes down in Revelation.
Come.
Yeah, once you find it, let me know. So we talk about when the chariots come, what happens? When the chariot comes, what's going to be the result? What's going to be the day after? What is going to be the result of the chariots coming in? How will the world how will the world operate thereafter? Find it in?
It is Revelations 21, chapter 21, verse 2. This is This is the book of Revelations, chapter 21, and verse 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband.
Come on. Okay, so we see what we say is after the chariot and Yahweh shall come. As you see, he said he's not just coming. He's not just coming to have a conversation. He's talking to be coming with a sword and with blood. It's much blood. So after that, things the new government should be set up after that. That's the new Jerusalem. It'll be a new government set in place. So what about the heaven and hell thought? When they told us and what they told you that you have to be a good person. I want to just for a minute, I'm not digressing. We're talking about hell. For a minute, just go back to where the whole concept seemed to have come from. In addition to the book, the Dante Inferno, would talk about the different levels of hell. Back in the slave days, to control our forefathers, what they said was, slave, obey your master. So you obey your master on this side, and then you get to go to heaven when you die. And that was the origin of the hell, the concept for heaven. And if you be disobedient, you burn in hell forever and ever. I mean, it sounded good when you was a child, but it starts to make less sense as you get older. And I remember in the movies, guys saying, when I first start to talk to you, it mightn't seem to make a lot of sense, but the longer I speak, the more sense it's going to make. So you get into ISUPK. The more you get in class, the more you can understand, the more sense this whole thing is going to make to you. Because right now, most of the people don't understand what's going on. They're quite comfortable in their current position. They're quite comfortable being ignorant. Well, I think it was 2 against 1. I was leaning on the deceitful side, but I think 2 of y'all was on the ignorant side. So when we talk about how we see the leadership in the church, whether they really are ignorant or whether they're deceitful. So, but so this is what happens in all cases. People become and I guess I was there, and most everybody else probably was in the ignorant position because we was right in it and couldn't see it. We were in it, and as simple as the scriptures right there before us, right? We didn't see it and understand it. We let the people who was ahead of us tell us, "You be good, you do what you're supposed to do, and when you die, you go to heaven or you go to hell. So you be good if you want to go to heaven. If you be bad, you go to hell, right?" But all along, you are the waiter, you are the gardener, you are the busboy, you are the servant to these people who have their feet up. They're not doing anything. When they need their slippers, when they need a foot rest, they say, "Boy, let me rest my foot on you. You bend down on your fours," and they put your feet. I think that's how it used to be in those times past. They want a foot rest. They call a nigger child and put their foot on him as a rest. So these days in time, what happens to you? What has happened? Where are you? In ISUPK, we say hell and heaven is a condition, and it's played out right here on earth. So if you look at your life from the perspective of the scriptures, you look at it. I often use this scenario that the fellow, more than likely, is an oppressor from somewhere. He get on the phone, get on his cell phone and say, fuel up the Leia jet. We flying out tonight to Paris, right? That nigga in heaven, you know. He in heaven. What I'm doing, they trying to make sure if my light bill, if they send that light bill to me in the email, I trying to pay that before my light turn off. That's to tell you in hell. Some people don't even pay their own bills. They have the associates that even know some of them how to pay a bill. Some of them. So how this heaven and hell play out, what they told us was not correct. And they told us that to keep us in the position where we become so comfortable. If you really look at it, I don't know if you ever heard about them, but definitely you will hear about the frog test. So now you got a question?
I do.
Come with it.
One of this has been, since coming into the truth, this has been one of the most difficult things for me to share, and that is the concept of believing that hell does not exist as a place of burning fury. And there are times that I still, you still tremble a little bit at the thought. And I am looking at Luke 16, where it talks about the rich man and Lazarus.
Uh-huh.
And if you can give me a little breakdown on that in particular, um, verse 22 and 23, I would truly appreciate that. That's Luke chapter 16.
Well, go to the trooper.
To like the other one?
Luke 16,
Come,
22
come.
and 23. Okay, when you find it, just go ahead and read it.
Come, come. This is the book of Luke, chapter 16, verse 22. And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. Verse 23. And in hell he lift up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom.
Continue.
Verse 24. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water, and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame.
Okay, I'm trying to find. Okay, can just hold on a second. Mm-mm. Now you Kadara, I'm trying to find in this actual verse where this is a parable, and we normally say a parable is a earthly story. I know you know that an earthly story to actually portray something spirit in the spirit realm. I'm trying to find it actually in this verse. Um, where um, because the breakdown of this, the breakdown of the actual. I know the breakdown. I heard the breakdown already, so I understand the breakdown. I just need to find where it actually says that it is a parable, because there was a certain rich man who said, "Put away his wife." Okay, it seemed to start on 19. There was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen and fed sumptuously every day. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus was laid at his gate full of sores. Okay, I'm trying to find in it. I got the breakdown, but I'm trying to find where it says. Okay, this actually the breakdown on it. Even though it says this is trying to portray our earthly understanding, not and in the day when Christ was This, of course, this is red letter, so this is what Christ is saying. Let me see something. I need to try and I ain't find my beginning yet. So lock here for that. I all the way up to 1 now, trying to find where he actually said it is the parable part of it before I break it down, because that becomes important. I'd have to find that. I have to find that part, and so I could break that part down. But anyway, let's go to the verse that we've read. Now, Christ was trying to make a point to, of course, if we see, and he said unto his disciples, let me see if I say lucky. I'm still trying to find. Okay. His disciples. Okay, 14. And the Pharisees also, well, the first verse is saying his disciples, then the Pharisees also, who were covetous, heard all these things, and they deride him. And he said unto them, so the Pharisees are deriding, this is Christ. And so in Christ's retaliation, this is what he's saying. And this is who he's actually talking to. He's actually talking to these same people. He's telling them. And so he's telling them, they which justify ourselves before men, but God knoweth your hearts. For that which is highly esteemed among men is an abomination in the sight of God. The law and the prophets were until John. Since that time, the kingdom of God is preached, and every man passeth into it. Now, I'm gonna go down to your verse. What Christ is doing now, he's checking them. He's talking to them. They deriding him, so he's battling. That's what he's doing. He's battling with them. So now, he getting down to this verse. And he say, he's talking a story. And he say, and it came to pass that and desired. Now, let me go right up to 20. And there was this Christ talking to them. Remember, there's a battle. Remember what they was doing to him. He battling, fighting. He throwing blows. Figuratively. Okay? And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at the of his gate. Let me go back up. Sorry. 19. There was a certain rich man, which was clothed in purple. Who was clothed in purple? The same people who was deriding him. What he's saying? The rich man was clothed in purple. He's telling them in a way, this y'all. All right? Purple and fine linen. That's described in the Pharisees. That's how they roll. They roll with the finest, right? And fed sumptuously every day. And then there was a certain beggar named Lazarus. What they trying to tell you now? Which laid at his gate, full of sores, and desired to feed of the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sore. What Christ is telling them, this is how y'all carry on. Y'all have all of this stuff. People write to y'all door, and y'all wouldn't take care of them, right? And then it came to pass that the beggar died, and was carried by the angel into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. Right? This Christ telling them, you get dead, and he dead, and this will gonna happen when this is what happens, right? And so he's saying, and in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torment. Now remember, this is just a parable. This is what Christ trying to tell them, right? And see the Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. So what is just telling them something like, he's the place where they're gonna be. It's going to be comfortable for one, and it's going to be uncomfortable for the next. And And so he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me. And this Christ trying to get across to them, giving them an analogy of how they need to be acting, because after is not going to be as it is where they are right then. And so, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in the water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. And Abraham said, remember? So Christ giving them an analogy. So see, if you all do this in times when times change, you all are going to be in the reverse condition. All right? You're going to be in the reverse condition, because he's telling you, remember, thou in thy lifetime received thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now is it comforted, and he is comforted, and thou art tormented. Besides all this, between us there's a great gulf. He is telling them a parable, and this parable, so this is not telling you, is not saying that there's a hell. He's telling you that if you want to live, you have to live a better life with people that are around you, because the possibility when things change, you're gonna be in a worse off condition because of how you acted at that current time. And this is what they were doing. So he's fighting them back in that. Let's see. And then it goes on to this talk more about the whole state that you would be in if you don't change your ways and your behavior. Again, this is a battle going on back and forth, right? And of course, that's how we have to look at it whenever Christ speaks. Christ isn't just Christ is an austere man, and he speaks firm, and his voice is like many waters. So when he spoke, he tried to speak with authority. Okay, so that's what it is. It's not, and I know because of the many years hearing that hell is a place where you go and you burn forever and ever and ever and ever. It's hard to get it out your brain, because all you think about is burning forever and ever and ever. Yes, sis. You gonna say something there?
No, I'm just listening.
No. So yeah, so a parable in that case, as he was talking directly to them and telling them, because they again was deriding him. They was trying to, I guess, like we say, they was battling him, trying to get the better part of him. And of course, he retaliated and tell them of the things that they do and are doing. And if they don't change, that's what awaits them, basically. So it's not, and again, like I said, the whole concept, I probably need to order the book, Dante Inferno, and because this is where that concept really comes from. Not so much in the Bible, because when the Bible speaks about hell, and the Bible speaks of hell, Gehenna, Hades, right? Hades and Gehenna, which they translate to hell. So Hades, I think one of them is just a grave. When you die, you go into the grave. But that's a study we have to do in a different time. So again, that's just a parable when he's trying to get the battle with the Pharisees. I hope I can answer your question. But if not, we could always get Captain Naita to tap in on that too.
I'm thinking of one of those debates with Captain Desaria. That's what came to mind. Well, as you explained it, yeah, I understand that it was probably a very heated battle.
Yeah. But that's where we learn the battle right from Christ himself. Yeah, this battle for the brothers. This is like, yeah. Okay, so I hope I answered your question best I can. Like I say, we could always, but I'm not Captain Naitaka, and then he could finish it up. But that was basically what was going on there, and the introduction of hell was just a form of control, and heaven was a lure, right? Hell was to cause you to be afraid to do something wrong, and heaven is like this thing, this thing dangling in the front of you to do right, You want this candy, do right. You know, and if you want to get a spank, you do bad. You go to hell. But if you want the candy, you do right. So that was pretty good to control us over the time. And so right now, where we are, is people come to the understanding that heaven and hell is a condition right here. And if you look at it closely and think about it, because the Bible says when you die, your spirit go back to the Lord, your body goes into the earth. Now, on Yahweh return, those who are dead will rise first, and who are alive and remain will be caught up to meet him in the air. So, and we believe in reincarnation. So that means you come back on the earth, and sometimes you live with your judgment. You live with your judgment. And how I like to look at it, I know we getting right on top of the time now. So how I like to look at it is we come back into our tribe, and we could come back into our family, the third or fourth generation. We could come back through the males, right? So my thought has always been this: if you have the ability to, and I think this is one of the things what the scriptures try to teach us, to teach the children so that the children could be better. So let's just say, in this time, if you teach your children, they come into the truth, their children in the truth, their children in the truth, the fourth generation in the truth. When you come back, if you come back into that situation, you come back into the child who's in the truth. Think about the parents who didn't teach their children anything. Their children end up, I guess they got Skid Row in America, in the Bahamas, they get Sandilands, you got people walking around the street. You didn't teach your children anything, and they go down that route. And you end up coming back in that fourth generation. You see, that's one of the things I look at where could be hell. Because something that you actually could have influenced, you didn't influence. And so when you come back on the third or fourth generation, you could have come back in a better situation if you'd worked more while you was here the first time. So again, that's only my thought. That's not what that's how I like to look at it from another direction. Yeah. So that's only my own opinion on that. Like the apostle said, that's his opinion, this was mine. Okay. So any other questions? Well, we up on the time. Just remember heaven and hell. We didn't go to the scriptures, but they are conditions right here on this earth. And we say come and get into the truth, get into ISUPK, get into what's really happening right around you right now. You need to find the brotherhood, and it needs to be built up. Because when you need a brother, you're going to need a brother. When you need a sister, you're going to need a sister. Right now, we seem to be doing half decent on our own in most cases. But with help, we could do much better. And we must build this nation. We must bring those who are lost. We must help them to find themselves. So this is why we have to keep the social media, keep it hot, keep it waking, and keep talking about this truth and keep pushing it out there. Now, we notice that other countries, they actually turn the social media off. They turn the internet off. They could do that. They could very well do that. So before they do that, we got to make sure we keep pushing it out there. And with that, I'll pass the class over to the trooper.
Honorable Khan, these are the ISUPK security announcements. We got the ISUPK started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There are another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After the 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21 in Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10, means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the teacher. Priest fund. Free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations. We have the Passover is actually coming up next. That will be April 2nd.
April the 4th is the actual Passover.
April 4th is the actual Passover. And then after that will be the Feast of Unleavened Bread as it continues on. And with that being said, men of Israel, Akmajim, we are now going to render a salute to the brothers, men of Israel, Akmajim Shabbat, Akmajim, Barak, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatam. Sar, meaning turn, facing sisters. We will now render a salute to the sisters, men of Israel, Akmajim Shabbat, Akmajim, Barak, Yahweh Shamar Alathan Bashem Yahushua.
Yahweh Shemai, somebody Shem Yahushai.
Shalom.
Shalom. And with that being said, class is now dismissed. Shalom.
Shalom. Tawada Chuba. Shalom, sis. Tawada.